Hello, welcome to Strong After 60. My name is Alina Kennedy, and in today's video, I want to talk to you about the general principles of what you should and shouldn't do exercise-wise if you've been diagnosed with osteoporosis or osteopenia. So as I said, my name is Alina Kennedy. I'm a physiotherapist and strength trainer, and I work with women over 60 to help them stay strong and fit. I work with a lot of women who have osteoporosis and osteopenia, and one of the things that comes up initially when I start working with clients is this general fear of what can they do, what can't they do. There's a lot of information online about all sorts of things when it comes to osteoporosis. Some of it is good, some of it isn't, as with everything on the internet. So I wanted to make this video for it to be a resource for anybody that has been diagnosed with this and wants to still do some strength training and maintain fitness, as a general guide of how to choose what exercises that you're doing and know what to avoid. So the first thing that is really important is that strength training is really important to maintain when you have a bone condition like osteoporosis or osteopenia. Putting weight on your body, putting load on your bones is one of the best ways to maintain bone density. An example of the opposite of this is people who are bedridden or astronauts, if we go into the full extremes, when lose a lot of bone density. So when you're not putting that load, that stress on your bones, they're just going to get weaker. The body really responds to the stresses that you put on it. So by doing strength training, whether that's lifting weights or using resistance bands or even using your own body weight, putting weight, putting load through your body is a really great way to maintain bone density and then also build up more bone density if that's what you're aiming to do. The number two thing to make sure that you're doing is not just doing too much cardio. I get a lot of clients who come to me saying, well, I'm really fit and active. I'm not sure why I have got this diagnosis. I do a lot of walking and swimming and a bit of Pilates and yoga. And while all of those activities are really great for your general health, they're not specific enough to loading your bones where you're really going to see results in your bone density. So by all means, stay walking and doing yoga if they're activities that you really enjoy. But on top of that, you do want to add something a little bit heavier where you're putting that load, that stress on your bones. If you do like walking, one thing that I often recommend clients get is a weighted vest. So it's just a vest that has some pockets where there's like weights in them. So that way you're going to be walking but putting a little bit more load onto your bones. And you always want to be walking a little bit faster than just a stroll pace. Again, the faster you walk, even if you're getting into a little bit of jogging, only if you're stable enough and you don't have a risk of falls, but walking faster rather than walking slower is always better for your bones. Again, going into running, that is another activity that is great for bones. Running, jumping, hopping, walking stairs, those things that are a little bit more impacting on your bones are going to be really great activities. But of course, make sure that you're doing that in a way that you don't have that risk of falls. If your osteoporosis is in a more severe stage, or you have had a fracture in the past, I do not recommend trying to do outdoor running or a lot of hopping, especially single leg stuff, if you don't have good stability or you already have a very high risk of fracture. You don't want to be putting too much stress on your body or putting yourself in a position where you might fall. The next general principle is to watch your form when you're doing any kind of strength exercise. You might have heard that with osteoporosis, you don't want to be doing twisting or bending forward. There is a bit of a caveat in that you certainly do not want to be doing twisting or heavy forward bending if your form isn't good and if the weight is heavy. So certainly things like twists where you're lying on your back, something like a Russian twist. You want to avoid that sort of exercise. With an exercise like a bent over row, those are fine to do as long as your spine is straight. So this is that caveat with bending forward. You can certainly bend forward if you're maintaining a straight neutral back, even with weight. So something like a deadlift or a bent over row is safe to do if you're doing it with an appropriate weight that you can control and your form stays good. So this is where if you're not confident doing those movements, it's best not to attempt them if you're not sure if you're going to be doing it properly. But if you've got somebody watching you, like a trainer who is able to watch that you maintain good form, or if you're really confident that you can maintain a straight neutral back while you're doing those exercises, that's fine, as long as the weight is the appropriate weight for you, where you maintain control and good form throughout the exercise. The next main principle is to do body weight exercises, especially ones where you're on your wrists. So things like push-ups, planks where you're on your hands, bird dogs, things where you're putting weight through your hands are really great exercises to do, especially for women who have osteoporosis or osteopenia, because the wrist and the hand is a really common fracture site. And it's also upper body strength in general for women tends to be worse than it is for men. But as you're getting older, you want to maintain as much of that strength through your hands and your wrists and your shoulders as possible. Also, because if you do have a fall, quite often you will go to reach out with your hands and land on your hands. So the stronger your hands and your wrists are, the better off you're going to be. And the last principle is to make sure that you're doing some core strengthening. For most people with osteoporosis, your weakest points are going to be your lower back vertebrae and your hip bones here. So what you want to do is make sure that all of those muscles that support your lower back and your hips are as strong as they possibly can be. That's going to be your abdominal muscles, your back muscles, and all of these big glute muscles around your hips. So again, doing things like planks, doing lots of glute work, lunges, squats. There's a ton of different exercises that are really going to target this area, but building up as much strength as possible around your midsection, around your pelvis, is a really good strategy for protecting yourself from falls and making sure that your bones are as strong as possible around your lower back and your hips. So that's the general principles of strength training and exercising if you have osteoporosis and osteopenia. If you have any other questions, please leave them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. But on this channel, you're also going to find lots of videos that are going to be exercise workout videos that are really specific to women over 60, and if a lot of them are also specific for osteoporosis and bone strengthening. So I hope this video has been helpful, and if you liked it, please subscribe and give it a like, share it with anyone you know who has osteoporosis or osteopenia, and I will see you next time. Bye.